Hey guys, welcome to Film World. Today I am going to explain a romance drama film called Purple Hearts from 2022. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie begins. At a lively bar, Cassie mesmerized the crowd with her singing before swapping her mic for an apron. Waitressing was her other job. While chatting with a fellow waitress, a group of US Marines entered. Initially reluctant to serve them, Cassie changed her mind upon spotting her childhood friend, Frankie. Excited, she hugged him and ensured his group was well served. However, when the Marines began teasing her, Cassie lost her patience and stormed off. Feeling guilty, one of the Marines, Luke, approached her to apologize, but Cassie dismissed him, assuming he was just seeking attention. That night, her friend mentioned the perks of marrying a Marine: financial stability, housing, and health insurance. It seemed like a casual remark, but it stuck with Cassie. Later, she hurried to her car, checked her blood sugar, and injected insulin. Diagnosed with early-stage diabetes 6 months ago, she was running out of insulin and lacked the money to buy more. Meanwhile, Luke had his own troubles. While jogging the next morning, a car nearly ran him over. Behind the wheel was John, a ruthless drug dealer from his past. Before enlisting, Luke had battled addiction and owed John $15,000. John demanded repayment, threatening his family if he failed. Desperate, Luke pleaded for more time. That evening after her performance, Cassie rushed to the restroom for an insulin shot, only to find she was out. Weak and dizzy, she caught sight of an army badge in the mirror. Her friend's words echoed in her mind. Marrying a Marine meant medical coverage. The next day, she boldly proposed a marriage of convenience to Frankie. She'd gain health benefits, and he could keep the financial allowances. But Frankie declined. He was engaged. Though disappointed, Cassie understood. Unbeknownst to her, Luke had overheard. The following day, with time running out, he asked Cassie to meet. At a quiet restaurant, he made an unexpected offer. He'd marry her in Frankie's place. She'd receive medical coverage, and he'd use the financial benefits to pay his debt. There was no time to hesitate. Luke was deploying to Iraq in 2 days. On their rushed wedding night, Luke reminded Cassie of the rules: regular texts, video calls, and acting like a devoted couple to avoid suspicion. With no choice, she agreed. The next morning at the church, Cassie was stunned. Luke had invited Frankie as a witness. Frankie handed her a ring he once intended for his own proposal, asking her to keep it safe. With that, Cassie and Luke became husband and wife, bound by contract, not love. The following day, Luke prepared to deploy to Iraq. Before leaving, he handed Cassie a paper with his brother's contact. "If anything happens, call him," he instructed. Months passed. Though living separate lives, they maintained their act through messages and video calls. One day, Cassie sensed something was wrong. Luke's unit looked tense. He admitted they were on high alert. Hoping to lift their spirits, she picked up her guitar and sang a song she had written, bringing a brief moment of comfort. The next day, Cassie excitedly shared her band's big news. They'd been invited to perform at a major music festival. Seeing her joy, Luke managed a rare smile. That night, everything fell apart. A call came. Luke had been critically injured in a mine explosion and was in emergency surgery. Panicked, Cassie searched for his brother's number, but it was gone. Desperate, she looked online and found an address linked to Luke's family. The next morning, she rushed there, only to be met by his father. Struggling for words, she blurted out the truth. She was Luke's wife, and he was fighting for his life. His father, stunned, had no idea Luke was married. All he knew was his son's troubled past and mounting debts before joining the military. 3 days later, Luke was flown back to the US for treatment. Waking up, he was shocked to see his entire family at his bedside. Confused, he turned to Cassie. How did they find out? She confessed she had gone to his father for help. Luke's face fell. His father, a cop with military ties, wouldn't hesitate to report their sham marriage if he found out. Now they had no choice. Their act could no longer be limited to texts and calls. They had to be a real couple under his family's watchful eyes. Their deal had just become far more complicated. Cassie chuckled at Luke's attempt to lighten the mood, but her laughter faded when she asked about Frankie's condition. Luke hesitated, his voice tight with emotion. Holding back tears, he admitted the truth. Frankie had also been caught in the mine explosion. But unlike Luke, Frankie hadn't survived. The news hit Cassie like a punch to the gut. Her eyes welled up, and without a word, she walked away, unable to contain her grief. The next day, after the funeral, Cassie met with Frankie's girlfriend and handed her the ring he had left behind. She shared Frankie's secret plan, how he had intended to propose after returning from Iraq, but he never came home. The woman broke down, clutching the ring as Cassie silently grieved alongside her. A week later, Luke was discharged from the hospital, but he couldn't go back to his old life. To avoid suspicion, he was forced to stay with Cassie in her apartment. He also had to attend weekly therapy sessions with his father and brother, working through his injuries and the trauma of war. Before his dad's next visit, Cassie and Luke had to make the apartment look like a real newlywed couple's home. Weeks passed. Cassie's music career was taking off, with major labels showing interest in her songs. Meanwhile, Luke focused on his recovery, pushing through pain and therapy. But one afternoon, while alone in the apartment, Luke spotted a familiar car outside. His phone rang. It was John. John knew about Luke's contract marriage, and he wasn't afraid to use it against him. "Since she's your wife now, I won't hesitate to go after her family too," John warned. The threat was clear. Luke had to pay his debts, or Cassie's loved ones would suffer. Despite the dark cloud hanging over him, there were small moments of light. One day at the park, Cassie and her brother surprised Luke with a therapy dog, hoping it would help with his healing. Luke was hesitant at first, but the warmth of the dog's presence slowly chipped away at his emotional walls. The next morning, when Cassie returned from work, she was shocked to find the broken door, now fully repaired. Inside, she found Luke standing, leaning on a crutch. He had managed to move on his own. They shared breakfast on the balcony, exchanging jokes and teasing each other over a spicy food challenge. For the first time, their conversations felt easy, their laughter genuine. When Cassie later offered to help Luke shower, she saw the full extent of his injuries, the deep scars and the suffering he had endured. A wave of guilt and understanding washed over her. She silently promised to take better care of him. That night, after weeks of sleeping on the couch, Luke was finally allowed to share the bed. Their relationship was changing, even if neither of them was ready to admit it. At a family barbecue the next day, Cassie couldn't help but admire Luke as he played with the children. His kindness and patience shone through, making her sister-in-law smile. "You should have a kid," she told Cassie. "Luke would make a great father." Cassie had no words. She hadn't even considered that before. But the illusion of peace didn't last long. That night, Luke was jolted awake by the sound of Cassie's phone ringing. It was her mother, panicked. Someone had tried to break into her house. They rushed over. When they arrived, Luke introduced himself as a close friend of Cassie's, quickly trying to calm her mother down. Cassie played along, reassuring her mom that everything was fine, but the danger wasn't over. A call came through. John. His voice dripped with malice. "I was the one who broke into her house," he confessed. Then came the real threat. He had recorded Luke introducing himself as Cassie's friend. If Luke didn't pay off his debt, John would expose their fake marriage, destroying everything. The walls were closing in, and Luke was running out of options. As Cassie returns home, exhaustion takes over, her diabetes wearing her down. Luke, ever watchful, quickly helps her lie down and ensures she takes her medication. In that moment, their bond as husband and wife feels real, standing by each other through thick and thin. The next morning, Luke is furious. John had crossed the line the day before, and Luke is desperate to confront him. Without hesitation, he storms into John's headquarters, ready for a fight. After settling things, he takes the money he received from the government, clears his remaining debt, and leaves. But before heading home, he stops by Frankie's grave, venting his frustrations and regrets. When he finally returns, an unsettling sight greets him, his belongings packed in a suitcase. Confused, he asks Cassie what's wrong. She reveals that John had visited her mother's house, exposing Luke's past, including his drug addiction and financial troubles. The truth, now out in the open, leaves Luke with no choice but to confess. He admits that, just like Cassie, his original intention for marriage was money, to settle his debts. He assures her that he's clean now, that drugs are a thing of the past. But no matter how sincere he sounds, the damage is done. Cassie is devastated. The lies, the betrayal, and the fact that her mother was dragged into this mess, it's too much. Before walking away, she delivers a crushing blow. After her concert that night, she never wants to see Luke again. She demands a divorce. That evening, despite her heartbreak, Cassie remains professional on stage, pouring herself into her performance. Meanwhile, Luke copes in his own way, by running. After what feels like an eternity, he finally regains his ability to run, bringing him a fleeting moment of joy. But reality catches up fast. His superior arrives with a summons. Luke must report to military headquarters immediately. Later that night, Cassie receives a call from Luke's father. He delivers shocking news. John has reported their fake marriage, and Luke is now under military interrogation. For the first time, Cassie feels the weight of it all, guilt silencing her. Days later, Luke faces trial. His lawyer advises him to stay silent, as fake marriages for government benefits aren't unheard of in the military. But when Luke sees Cassie's face in the courtroom, something shifts. Instead of staying quiet, he stands and takes full responsibility, claiming Cassie was just an innocent victim in his scheme. His confession seals his fate. He's sentenced to 6 months in prison, while Cassie walks free. The next day, Cassie prepares to take the stage for her biggest performance yet. But before stepping out, she watches a video of her wedding with Luke, hearing the vows they once exchanged, to stand by each other through every storm. As she sings, memories of Luke flood her mind, and with each lyric she realizes the truth. What started as a lie had turned into something real. She had fallen in love with him. Meanwhile, Luke prepares to leave for prison when he receives an unexpected honor, a badge recognizing his service to his country, despite violating military law. Then, in a dramatic final moment, Cassie arrives just in time to see him. No more pretending. She confesses her love. What they had may have started as fake, but the feelings were real. She longs for the simple things, their quiet moments on the balcony, their laughter, and the way he always listened to her songs first. Their journey was complicated, messy, and full of heartbreak, but in the end, love found a way. To watch more explanations of these kinds of movies, click on the videos on your screen, and don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.